Hello, and good morning. Alright, so let's continue on. I went ahead and cleared most of the first chapter, so did all those. Basically left Quadriga and Bulma Musa, which are the only two that really there's going to be a whole lot of variation on. Actually, this is probably going to be a bit of a segmented thing, because I'm going to go ahead and do quite a few parts, probably. Or I'm going to maybe do them separately. I don't know, we're going to see how this is going to go. I'm just going to have two different versions of the same file again. So, how this has gone, basically still the same thing. We got 6 tier users here, Vice here, Santa and Sarah, they're more uniform now. Got these two with their better knives and all that sort of thing. Canopus is becoming ridiculously good as a cleric. But moving on. One thing I was thinking about last time that, I don't know, it never really came up, didn't really think about it much. But the fact that they have both a, they have the Falx and the Roman helmet thing at the same time kind of makes me wonder if a similar situation played out there. So if you're unfamiliar with it, historically speaking, you know how there's like that grip on Roman helmets? Like they've got the little reinforcement part at the very top? Well, they, that's basically because they fought against, I think it was pronounced Dacians, or Dacians, whatever, but they had the Falx, and I believe they were just early Romanians. And the Falx was basically like, pretty much if you're familiar with the design of a scimitar or the design of a, of a messer or falchion or something like that, it's just basically like a wide, single-edged, friggin' flat thing, except it's scaled up and it's just a giant two-hander, pretty much. It's basically, I think, the closest historical equivalent to a friggin' Buster Sword, but whatever. So, yeah, those things are pretty awesome looking. But point being, they used to have much different helmets. Like they were used to, protecting against short swords and things like that. And so then they go and fight these guys, and they're like, okay, these guys, we've got sort of the just kind of the flat metal helmets. That was enough up to this point. They start incorporating can openers, and well, basically they were able to just operate through it. Not like butter or anything, but it was enough force and cutting edge to basically break helmets and stuff like that. So that's why they ended up going, or at least it's theorized to be the reason that they started suddenly incorporating a bunch of metal ridges at that point. Like, so everyone's kind of getting opened up. A little bit of a problem. Maybe let's deal with that. And so they did. We're very good at adapting to stuff. Incidentally, one of the recent conversations that actually came up about the mod, I was just thinking, I couldn't believe that I didn't mention it in the whole what is one vision thing there. Because, yeah, probably one of the biggest mental changes as far as the mod goes is just the fact that people are more adaptable. They feel more human. Man, why didn't I mention that? That makes more sense. Also, getting a little weird. Actually, one of the reasons I've decided, I think I'm gonna go and just go for 2 separate files down the line here. I was hoping to continue on not getting those card bonuses, but still collecting the cards. But it looks like those are gonna be kind of unavoidable. Because for some reason my CW cheats on my PSP decided to go all jank. Really know why, but at this point I have almost everything else like I want it, so I exactly want to mess around with it. I might get it working before leaving on a trip, but it's gonna be weird. Literally the first friggin' vacation in years. But at any rate, that basically means I can't turn on the thing, the anti-cheat thing. So, I guess to some degree it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth comparison between how the different units wound up in each version. Because hell, I'm not even convincing myself at this point that it's actually enough to make a true difference, but I kind of want to know. Because eventually, I end up getting to the same point in each of these runs where I go and just do a crap ton of grind fights. Just to have everybody wind up with like 10,000 leftover points. And, really just kind of about that. With all the points, all those maxed out skills and everything, because it's just fun to do grind fights over and over. I don't know, I'm a weirdo like that. What was I going? I don't remember. Tell me something. But yeah, I think I mentioned it last time, but I was a little bit worried if I'd even be able to bring my PSP onto a plane in its current condition. Or at least the current condition that it was in. Because it had crap sticking out of it and was held together by tape and everything. Like, man, I tried to break this out on the plane, somebody's gonna have a heart attack. So finally I ended up just disassembling it and re-repairing the thing, and I think, hopefully it's all good now. Like, it's still missing some screws, granted, but hey, better than it was. That is to say, it actually looks like a PSP now, and not some kind of bizarre God knows what. Oh, actually, one thing I did forget to mention, the Vita might be getting this at some point this year. Well, late this year, maybe sometime next year, it's kind of unclear at this point, but somebody finally actually did manage to hack 3.67, so that's the latest firmware anyway. It'll probably end up getting patched out, but as long as you don't have auto updates, you're pretty much golden on that one. And might be able to actually put this mod on there. The whole stupid thing that Sony's doing. Pretty much still alive in other places. So they kind of forgot about the whole it's very, very, very dead in the Western market. Kind of. I mean, okay, it can be argued that it's still got stuff going on. Got a lot of stuff coming out, but it's not competing with anything. Put it that way. Like, it's just sitting, doing its own thing, but for the most part, it's just treading water. Not really going to be any, you know, major big turnarounds for the thing until the hacking scene comes into play, which unfortunately comes with a lot of people wanting freebies. Personally, I mean, I know I kept buying stuff for my PSP even after I ended up hacking the thing, but whatever. Figure, you know, the things anyway, because then I ended up getting a Vita and ended up transferring it over to the good. But just point being, the hacked Vita just runs better. Like, for comparison, I had 3 of them lying around as of a little bit ago. 1 normal one and 2 hacked ones. So the normal one got a battery life of, granted these were all from about the same period, but had a battery life roughly of like 3 hours towards the end there. If the brightness was kept up, it went up to about 4 if it was kept on low, but you could barely see anything. So it would last about 4 hours. It would occasionally hiccup on stuff, and it would occasionally, you know, it could only run certain things. The PSN store went down years ago for it, so you can't even download it that way. It's a whole pain in the neck to actually get anything onto it using legitimate methods. So, honestly, even if you legit own a thing, it's just easier to use the hacked version. Just dumb. They should never have done it that way, but hey. Like, for comparison's sake, even with a Vita. Okay. Hacked PSP there? Pretty much consists of going and, you know, getting the ROM, plugging in a USB, waiting a couple minutes for it to upload. Vita, you have to log, you know, turn on your actual store because the thing drains battery life like crazy when you have the online on. So you turn the online on, you go and you reconnect, you log into the store, it probably forgets your password or updates some sort of thing or other. You end up having to redo that. So you try to remember your password 50 times, probably reset your password if you're in. Anyway, so you go back into there, then you have to go find the thing in your downloads list, because they're not going to let you search your downloads. You have to manually look through years of stuff that you bought. And yeah, once you find it, like 160 things down the line, you can finally select it and start downloading it. Then it'll give you a couple errors, and finally end up eventually putting it here. Point I'm trying to make here is it's a complete pain in the neck. I love Vita for what it is, but God, it could have been handled so much better. The cozy device for what it's basically a port dumpster at this point. That's the sad part. And like it's sad because the screen and hardware are really good. This especially looks incredible when scaled on the Vita. That was one of the main things that I was looking forward to with mod and all that. Like I'm crap on the Vita, and eventually that thing will be hacked, and it'll look amazing. Because yeah, it looks like a lot of how do I even put this? If most of the emulator settings were turned up, like I want to say, it feels like resolution 6 times or so. It's not actually that high. It doesn't look great for a lot of things, but for Bucked in particular, it looks fantastic. The lighting looks better. There's some weird stuff with shadows occasionally. Like it's especially noticeable with get out of here, Vice. With something like the bow kill moves, for example, or like this kind of thing, where it has that kind of pulsing shadow thing, which just sort of shows up as a hexagon, but whatever. It's got problems, but it looks so much nicer. The thing is, a lot of the other stuff is much more unpleasant. Like I said, you can't really put that put the mod on there yet, unless you've got a certain version, which is basically impossible if you've updated at any point, because they make it a whole big point of, no, you can't ever downgrade your version. Look at us, we're so secure on our completely dead console. But so maybe alive overseas, but there's really no need for them to keep patching it over. A lot of wasted effort and annoyance and everything. Because ultimately, it will still get hacked. And it's not like it's for anything other than pretending that it's actually going to matter to shareholders. But so it is what it is. I mean, it's a nice little console anyway. I will say, stuff like Command & Conquer looks pretty decent on it. A lot of the old PS1 games and everything. But as always, it is a port dumpster. Some definitions of port dumpster fire, but what? Thing is, and honestly, one of my biggest complaints about the thing, my rebuilt friggin' PSP here, right? The Franken PSP has, like, it has problems with the thumbstick and all that, because the thing's all broken as hell. And actually, I should probably just go and replace it with the other one. Why haven't I done that? But yeah, like the buttons occasionally stick and all of that, which you'd think would be a deal breaker. But then with the Vita there, it's got those exact same problems, and it hasn't been through nearly as much. All things considered, that thing has been babied by comparison. Yeah, I don't know. Like, we're talking a console that basically was pretty much dropped in a pool. They had gone and disassembled it, couldn't figure out how to reassemble it, so they just chunked the parts into a friggin' plastic bag. I bought it at a garage sale for $10, because it was one of the 3000s. Bear in mind, all this falling into the pool nonsense was with the battery still in there, so yeah, it saw better situations. So finally, it sat around traveling in my kind of just storage, whatever it is, like bench tote thing. Got severely damaged on account of a screwdriver basically puncturing the screen. And yeah, then finally ended up going and reassembling it, finding out a bunch of the little hooks that kept it together had basically snapped off while it was in storage, as well as when the guy originally tried to reassemble it back in the day. So ultimately, you know, it had to be held together in super weird ways. But once all was said and done, it still works. that funny. There's a custom firmware feature that basically allows you to charge via USB instead of actually plugging in a power cord. So it basically has to live off of that, with the power cord only really coming into play as soon as it actually completely drains the battery. You know, it's just kind of a funny thing, because there's no reason that that shouldn't have been on there the entire time. It's one of many custom firmware features that you look at it and it's like, why? How would they go about this any other way? Because their proprietary cord thing was not very good. Those things were very prone to breaking. They're a pain to get a hold of, and they're not even terribly expensive. They're just annoying to get. I think I've gone through 3 in total, and you can end up replacing them by just going and, you know, chopping off the end of one of those, finding the right kind of USB cord, and just basically having it run off of USB at any point anyway. But there's a custom firmware feature that essentially you can have it just charge through the USB port, because that's a function that it already has. It's not terribly fast, but plugging it in for the night, who gives a crap, you know? And there's no reason that they shouldn't have had it on there, because they had USB charging as an option, but that option did not actually include when it's just not connected to USB mode. So it had to be in the mode originally. So it had to be transferring things, which means that they were basically trying to sync files between your computer and a thing whose storage capacity can't even handle that much. I want to say like 16 was the maximum that it could even handle. So, strange choice. Still easily my favorite console, though. That's... See, that right there? That is what Canopus makes next to a cleric. He's just an all-around beast now. Basically, Canopus right now is a flying version of a vanilla game knight. All is. Get a shot from there? No. Yep, and you might be able to finish this. Unlikely, but you might be able to. Oh yeah, we didn't get this scene last time. Dems him to hell. Oh no. Yeah, I gotta agree with this guy right here, though. Oh man, you're freaking speaking for your gods or whatever? Really? So he starts talking about miracles and all this other stuff, and... Yeah. Start having this whole philosophical conversation here. And he makes a good point. He's like, yeah, you're basically doing a bunch of crap just like everybody else. You're just basically saying God's okay with it. Doesn't exactly make it okay, you're just saying it's okay. People believe you. So, I guess Donalto had his moment here. He got his revenge. Getting his faith questioned. So, I didn't appreciate this the first time around, but this look is perfect for him. Like a washed-up cleric. This is, you know, he basically just has the robe hanging all to the sides instead of actually bothering to close the thing or anything. Good stuff. Alright. Bomb moose-size this mess. Archers, definitely, because we're quick. Clerics, because train. Let's put spearmen in here. Actually, no, I'm gonna take the fence. Those 3 are gonna barrel down there. Maybe he will too. You see, we're gonna go up here and here. I was still considering what route to go on for this. We'll end up doing Chaos this time. Next run's probably gonna be Law. I haven't done full Law in a while. So, by the way, this is something I started doing with that base game Ironman run. Just having 2 of these, kind of having a knife fight in the background the entire time. There's something weirdly amusing about it. That kind of stuff right there is why archers have been getting yet another nerf. Much. They've started getting all strong-like again. You don't need to be all strong-like. Though that being said, these guys are still pretty lightly armored. You know, armor isn't as much of a factor yet. But hey, who knows? Making armor necessary. And who knows? Yeah, so this kind of trick right here. Usually they're going to end up missing each other because they're both set up for evasion. But, I don't know. It's just something that's weirdly fun. Then you wind up getting their knife skill all the way up, and then they can actually bind stuff and run away. Useful. It's kind of making me wonder now, with the whole Chaos Frame thing. I wonder if the only reason that they allowed so many defeat leader-only fights was because of Chaos Frame. I mean, it basically never matters anyway. It would be cool for the sake of, vectors and stuff like that, and maybe they would join the opposite side or something. That would have been a cool system. I don't know how they would have implemented it, but it would have... Oh, I don't want to join you, and then they just go and defect to the other side. And suddenly they know that you're coming, and it's just a completely different fight. That would have been more effort than it's... One can dream, dang it. I want to say that is actually something that can happen in Crusader Kings? Although that's not exactly a JRPG, it's more of a 4X RPG story builder thing. Hard to define. Really cool to watch, though. One of those ones that I don't own, but really love to watch. Because the really bizarre crap that happens sometimes. Like how one situation I've seen come up a couple times is where somebody's trying to find a suitable heir, for example. They've done really well, their run's going fantastically, and they see an heir come up that one's probably going to cause everything to completely fall apart. So they're like, okay, they have a second kid, they want that one to take over. And so they keep trying to get the first one killed off, no matter what, and then, like, send them off to wars and everything else. They send them off on dangerous hunting expeditions, and they just keep coming back. They're like, this guy single-handedly took on, like, 500 people. We don't know how, but he did it. Wow. That's pretty tough. And, of course, then that guy ends up taking power, and suddenly getting dementia, and everything falls apart. Such things happen. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that Kingdom Come was really good, speaking of historical RPG stuff. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to try it. I'm watching a lot of videos of it. Looks pretty darn sweet. I have this on fast forward at the moment, but... do as you do. I think it's just because Balma Musa isn't... well, Balma Musa Part 1 isn't the interesting fight. I kind of feel like this maybe could have gone a little bit different way. I mean, at least it's a mercifully short one. Mercifully short. And they probably put less units in here, again, for Chaos Frame reasons, but... as always. Sure. The assumption. I want to point out, skill-wise, they've got 40 and 31 respectively, and we're pretty much at the end of Chapter 1. They got rank 2 at the friggin' very beginning of Chapter 4 at this point in that in base game, for comparison's sake. The whole 10 times experience thing is way more balanced than it looks. Literally the only time I've ever seen where it's like, oh, let's friggin' make it go up 10 times, and it's actually more balanced. I was gonna say other than some MMOs, but now that I think about it, I tried this server, private server thing for RuneScape once, when They once they kind of killed off the old version, and hoping to get that whole classic experience going. And yeah, no, they tried quadrupling the experience and it completely broke the game. One of those weird cases where I guess it actually made sense. Because it actually went up reasonably fast, it just slowed down extremely on the higher levels. Yep. I want to say the very last level took almost as much as 1 to 99. Or 1 to 98. Yes. 3. Do this one or no? I'm gonna do law. Save stated here. Yeah, I think I'll save stated here. Alright, see you next time.